I'm Ryan Macklin, and we're sitting down today with two lovely humans that you're about to meet, and we're going to do another demo of backstory cards. Today we're going to do backstory cards with Trail of Cthulhu. We have our characters more or less set up enough to where we have a sense of who they are, and we're just going to kind of show how this can work in a serious horror game. Very much what we're looking at is like a 1930s Seattle, kind of more of a purist sense of what's going on when it comes to Lovecraftian horror, and kind of just see where we're going. I'm playing Addison Pratt. I am a journalist. My sort of big deal is that I'm curious about the world, but at the same time I've really put my faith in the sort of natural laws and science and things like that. So I have this strange curiosity about life in general, and because this is a Lovecraftian game, it is going to butt heads directly against this deep faith I have in the natural sciences, which of course comes from being an altar boy and just kind of rejecting all of that world.
Hey, I'm Matt. My character is, his name is Herschel, or Waterfront Hirsch. He's a hobo. He's really into this because he's just bad luck. He's just, every turn has never gone his way. He gets the worst possible draw on everything. The thing that he values most, the thing that keeps him going, is just human dignity and value. And I think that's going to be good, because as he meets more and more of the mythos, he's going to start losing more and more of his faith and just taking more things of his and just abandoning what he feels is should just be basic human dignity. And that's what's kept him going, just handouts and people being nice to him, but he's not going to care after a while.
I'm Erin, and I'm playing Blanche Kent, a dilettante. She's quite arrogant and believes that the world is her oyster. She's all about aesthetics and the high principles of art. That's really what she's grounded in, and living life to the fullest, of course. And maybe a little bit of a checkered past in there that she had cleaned up with Daddy's money. We'll wait and see how that plays out. But I think that the aesthetic nature of her being is going to be called into question by all of the horrible, ugly, dark things that she'll be seeing.
So as you can see, we're the sort of group that we haven't talked about our connections with each other. A journalist on a beat, a dilettante, and a hobo. We thought this would be kind of a great opportunity to show a challenge of merging three characters that have very disparate backgrounds together. We filled out part of our setting grid already, but we're leaving the two columns of each one's empty, or two rows in each one's empty. We have one individual, which is Mademoiselle Delafa, who is a prominent seamstress. And if you don't know what I mean, Google Seattle seamstress to find out. Or you probably figured out from there. Our next group are the Stevedores Union. Since this is the 30s, that's going to be a very prominent thing. Seattle, it's a port city. We figure there will be some juice in there as far as the narrative goes. Our one event is the last mayoral election. We decided for something that was local, something that wasn't really sort of catastrophic or big, but it's still, it's very politics. There's very, shadings and back dealings and things like that. We figured we can probably mine some juice out of that. And then our one place are the alleys around Pike Place, like, most notable, Post Alley, which in the 30s is certainly not what it is now. So that's what we've got now, and now we're going to go ahead and use backstory cards. First we have our dilettante, whose name again is?
Blanche Kent.
Excellent. So we're going to have Blanche go ahead and draw from the deck. I promised the backers that we would see the horror theme cards here, sort of the very first test that I'm doing. We're going to do that as our second round. We want to establish sort of a baseline for the first round. You could certainly go either way or whatnot, but we're going to start with that for now. So go ahead and draw from the deck, and let's see what prompt you have.
You, an individual, joined together to deal with a common foe, PC. How did PC fail you? How does this alliance affect you, an individual, today?
Okay, so that means we're going to go ahead and draw a card for whichever individual. We've only got one defined right now, so if we end up drawing one of the other two, we'll have to make up on the fly. And in fact, we have drawn the number 2. So 2 is currently empty in my makeshift setting grid. Again, in fact, you don't really even have to download a setting grid. You can just sort of make one on paper. So 2, what ideas do we have for another NPC that'll be prominent in our game?
You know, I think we would all have equal access to this area of life. So maybe a cop, like since Ballard had a whole lot of Scandinavians, maybe like Lieutenant Nils Olsen or something.
Okay, so like a sort of a lieutenant from from Ballard, or like that sort of like very old world, new world sort of thing. How do you feel about that?
Sounds good to me.
All right, I will write that down while also holding the camera. LT Nils Olsen. And you're going to go ahead and draw the last card there to find out which of us you've teamed up with Lieutenant Olsen. And you drew an up arrow. Now, because there are 3 of us, we'll show what 3 of us does. 3 of us, come on, get into focus. Well, you're not going to get into focus apparently, so you'll just learn that the 3 of us means that the up arrow means either one of us, your choice.
Okay. I'm going to choose our journalist.
Yay!
So, Lieutenant Olsen and myself joined together to deal with a common foe.
Addison Pratt.
Addison Pratt. And Addison Pratt, the journalist, failed me by attempting to report on a story that I really didn't want him to. Being a dilettante, my dad certainly didn't want that in the papers. And because of that, now, the police officer, he knows that regardless of the fact that I may not want to associate with him, I'm kind of forced into it. So we have an uneasy alliance.
Okay, so you joined with Olsen.
Correct.
To bring me down.
To get a cease and desist on a negative report that you were planning on releasing.
Which as a reporter brings the reporter down.
Yes.
Didn't quite work out, and now it's tenuous between you and Olsen. It sounds like because you've sort of brought Olsen in my crosshairs, and we're all 3 in each other's crosshairs. Is that sort of similar thing?
Yeah, I may prefer not to deal with him, but I kind of have to if he needs a favor or needs my family to show up and support the police department or some such at a fundraiser. We're kind of stuck with that.
Okay, so we've got that going on here, and we also decided that we're okay with this game to let some adversarial relationship happen. That's an adversarial card that we pulled up. So that's what we have right now, and then we're going to move on to our hobo next. All right, Matt, who are you again?
I'm Waterfront Hirsch the Hobo.
Yes, you are. You're very much dressed appropriately.
Thank you.
All right, so go ahead and draw your prompt.
All right. You brought on PC to help you retrieve something of personal importance. What did you offer for this help? Did you succeed?
All right, and so that is a anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And was that a drama?
Co-op.
Anywhere in co-op. So anywhere means that we could involve something that's on the setting grid right now if we wanted to, which could mean if you wanted to say in this to fill in one of the grid options, you can. It's not a requirement, but it's saying, hey, don't forget about this option.
Sure.
And co-op just means you're making the other person look awesome.
Sure.
So go ahead and flip over the next card to find out which PC.
It is to my right.
Excellent. So right now, we have so let's go ahead and fill in all of this here. So it is.
I brought on PC to help me retrieve something of personal importance.
And so you brought on
Blanche
to help you retrieve something of importance.
Well, let's see. Since I'm a hobo, I'd probably value something like camping gear or something I probably left somewhere that I didn't have access to.
It could be that. It could be something sentimental.
Yeah.
Do you also have weird knowledge of the occult on your character sheet?
Yeah, I do.
It could also be weird knowledge, something involving the weird knowledge of the occult.
Yeah. Since
we've filled out enough of our characters to know what we are good at, we can also incorporate those sort of random things there.
And since I also have Cthulhu mythos and occult knowledge, that would also be appropriate.
Okay. So
maybe the something of personal importance was just knowledge about some kind of weird little thing that helped me survive.
Okay, so not an item, but just like
knowledge.
Okay? Totally
knowledge
nice.
Itself, yeah.
Okay, and so what are the questions on there?
So let's see. What did you offer for this help, and did you succeed?
Okay, so what did you offer? Would you offer somebody who has everything that you don't have?
So I would offer probably something that she probably doesn't have easy access to, like kind of the shadier things, like maybe, get some heroin off a boat, or maybe rough some guy up for me.
Yeah, so you got any ideas in that regard?
Even perhaps information. By dealing with the shadier aspects of the city, you might have picked up information that would be important to me that I might not have access to.
Sure, because I'm pretty good at stealth and shadowing, so maybe you wanted me to follow someone. Oh, here's something. Follow one of your dad's competitors to see if he's having an affair, and then get information or data on that.
Okay. Do we want to add one of your dad's competitors as a individual or a company as a group or anything like that, or do we want to leave that off the table for now?
I think we should leave it off, and maybe.
Okay, if it comes back in, we can totally use it.
We haven't decided what my dad does quite yet.
That's fair. Okay, so we know. And then, did you succeed?
I would say I partially succeeded, and she kind of. I partially succeeded, so I know he went somewhere shady, but I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't see if it was a girl, but I kind of sexed it up a bit, as it were, and told her that anyway. So she felt pretty gracious that I got that info. So I got the.
And did you succeed at getting what you wanted?
Oh, I succeeded, yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you're competent at getting what you want.
Correct.
You shame. All right, so enough
I am
with
a hobo.
You are a hobo. Fair enough. So on to our next character. I am playing Addison Pratt, intrepid journalist, who apparently makes enemies with the rich people and the cops in town. So, a journalist with not a long life. Certainly not in the 30s. And so my first prompt, is going to be, you and PC used to spend time together at place. What mementos do you each keep from that time in your lives? And so we're going to flip over, and the next one I have is going to be, so PC is going to be you, so it's going to be...
Oh, okay.
So the hobo, so the journalist and the hobo used to spend time together at place number 3, which we haven't defined yet. So what sort of place would a hobo and a journalist have spent time together in the past?
There's a couple of places. There'd be maybe in one of the precincts, maybe at a coffee shop. Oh, I know. We were probably at the Ballard Locks fishing.
I kind of like that, because it's like, that's not related to either of our... I mean, it's, your life is on the street or whatever, but it's not really related to... You're not my contact or whatever in that, so I totally dig that. So 3 is going to be the Ballard Locks. Okay, so we have here, then the full prompt says, you and Waterfront Hirsch. That's appropriate. You and Waterfront Hirsch used to spend time together at the Ballard Locks. What mementos do you keep from that? What mementos do you each keep from that time in your lives? So what do we keep from that time? So apparently that time was important to us. Well, at least in some way.
So I think maybe you were down there fishing for fun, but I was down there fishing because I needed to eat.
Okay.
So maybe we'd strike up a conversation or something, and maybe you mentioned you like something, and since I'm on the waterfront and we kind of already determined I do odd jobs,
right.
Maybe I picked you up a piece of scrimshaw because you liked something from China, and I said, oh, yeah, this is maybe from one of the sailors in China, right. Buddy.
And it was like, and I feel like I kind of know a little bit more about it than that, but I kind of like the friendship thing. And
yeah.
I think your fishing pole was crap.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I gave you mine, which was like, one of like my dad's fishing poles.
Oh, wow.
When yours broke. So I think you've got like a nice fishing pole that's like, that like my dad gave me. And I have this like sort of trinket that I, sort of have like turned into like a good luck charm sort of thing. Like
sure,
it's
yeah.
like more of a like
which is probably a bad luck charm.
Well, fair enough. It's since you are pretty much bad luck to at least you and maybe to me too, but I'll keep it around anyway. Surely it'll turn around. So we've got a little bit of an idea here about our characters
sure.
having a past friendship. Yay, friends! All right, so that completes round 1 of this, and then we're going to get into the horror stuff. All right, so this is going to be the horror round. We are going to use Aaron's character Blanche for the first round here, and I haven't actually written up the horror cards as cards yet, so I randomly rolled on my list and determined which ones I'm going to use. So for the first one here, you and PC spent some time researching strange recent occurrences when you had a brief experience with the otherworldly. What was the... and PC was completely oblivious to this. How did the pure solitude of this incident leave its mark on you? And what does PC think of you since then? And for the PC, we're going to flip over, and it goes to me. So it's a double arrow passing Matt to me. So we have this past where you were trying to discredit me, and turn a cop against me. And now we recently spent some time researching recent strange occurrences.
To which you were completely oblivious.
To which, like, this sort of, while we were researching it, something happened to you, completely oblivious to whatever just happened to you.
Well, it sure doesn't improve my opinion of you.
It probably does not. So, is there anything particular that we were researching? We could add that as an event on the sheet.
We have a lot of waterfront stuff going on.
We do.
Perhaps strange things washing up.
Okay, strange things washing up. So I'm going to add that as number 2. So strange, quote, things washing up. And for some reason, and we can probably figure that out later, you and I are researching this together. Like, it could have to do with, like, maybe involve, like, some of your family's property on the waterfront.
Perhaps you see a story and... yeah, it might be on my family's property,
right.
or...
and you see a way to spin it so it doesn't damage your family's reputation, and it's... yeah, we can kind of work with this a little bit.
Maybe that's the event that made her want to turn the cop against you.
That's true. That we don't actually have a good sense of timing. Maybe this, this is the other way around. Totally right. And so here, so while we were researching this, you had a brief experience with the otherworldly. I was completely oblivious to that experience. It's like I didn't even know what happened. That any, maybe any time lost or you were taken or anything. How did this sense that you experienced this thing leave its mark on you?
Well, we saw these things washing up. I was pretty sure that they were otherworldly. And much like, think Loch Ness Monster, I'm pretty sure I saw something out in the bay.
Okay.
So it affirmed my belief that there are otherworldly things going on, that things are not as they seem. And I'm a little bit more determined to figure out what's going on with all of that.
Okay. And then the question here is, what does PC think of you since then? And I think that, given my character's rationale, I think that you are, to use a word of the era, hysterical. Just that sort of, to be less horribly offensively sexist about it. I just think you're nuts for believing in something that is irrational. Like, there's a rational explanation for this, and you're like seeing a vision or something out there that is clearly nothing that science would possibly justify. So now we maybe will have our source of beginning tension, or we have a source of why we continue to have tension. One of the two.
Sure, and I mean that may be what you were trying to report on, was my family doing things that they weren't supposed to, when, hey, no, I'm sure that it's otherworldly things washing up on the shore.
Totally. And the neat thing about this setup is that we now have a further adversarial relationship, but it's something that the GM can use as fodder for, this is a very dramatic game. You're all investigators, but in this sort of framework, you're all 3 people put together who might not want to be together, who have to deal with this, which I think kind of makes for just as rich of a story as, hey, you're all 3 investigators who are college chums or going to this place. Which is definitely its own fun story. So anyway, so that is a lot of juice out of one question. Excellent. Next up, we have our wonderful hobo, Waterfront hobo. Hirsch, and the card that I rolled up was my 4th card in the thing. You and PC teamed up to track down or get info on individual or group. What mental or social talents did you each show that impressed the other? Okay. Now this is a new type of prompts thing that I'm making up for this set. Then I'm going to work for some other ones where it's sort of a combined. You can choose individual or group, and since we haven't chosen group yet, we're going to go ahead and choose a group. So let's go ahead and flip over.
Group number 3.
Okay, we don't have anything for group number 3. So does anybody have any ideas for a group that we work together with?
Mayor's office, maybe. Yeah.
My father keeps coming up.
Maybe like your father's company or something.
Seattle was really big in timber.
Okay.
Maybe he can own a timber company?
Or perhaps he owns many companies.
Yeah.
Like he's like your father's estate and companies, I think, is probably a good.
Yeah. There we go.
So what is your character's last name? Was Kent?
Kent.
I'm going to say the Kent Holdings.
Perfect.
Okay, so we've got that there, and the prompt then. Okay.
We investigated. You and I investigated the Kent holdings
Right.
together.
So
what?
So hang on. Let's see what. So we jumped ahead. We've got the individual group, and it isn't actually, in fact, with the double arrows. It is me.
Okay.
It's almost like we figured this part out early.
Wow.
All right, but no, seriously. The prompt is Waterfront Hirsch and Addison Pratt teamed up to track down or get info on the Kent holdings.
Right.
What sort of social cerebral talents did we each show that impressed the other?
Let's see here. So
And it's a co-op card, and it's what the type of card I'm calling an investigative card. The set right now is going to be some investigative ones and some horror ones, so you can decide how you want it by blending the two or just having one of the other. So what sort of stuff?
So for kind of things that I would think would be for investigatory, I have a lot of points in Streetwise. Maybe kind of you were impressed with like the level of knowledge I had, about the streets.
I think like maybe a specific moment. It's like where you, it wasn't not just that you were able to get a lot of knowledge out of the street, but you were able to do so in a way that did not get me knifed.
Yeah.
Like it was, I went to dangerous parts of town.
Yeah, maybe, you know what? I speak Spanish. Maybe we went to the Spanish-speaking part of town where they didn't like you, but you know, I stepped in and kind of, hey, this guy's cool. He's with me. He's a friend.
Right, and you're maybe just well known around there too. So I
Yeah.
think the fact that you're connected and beloved.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be beloved. Clearly, by everything else that we have figured out so far.
Let alone a beloved hobo.
Let alone beloved hobo. So yeah, I think that's there,
Okay.
and that might even have happened after our fishing good
Sure,
times,
yeah.
or maybe this led to our fishing good times. We don't really have a good sense of, or we can go either way with that. Okay, so we went down to track info. Your ability to be an awesome person in the in the seedier parts of town,
Sure,
and
yeah.
beloved, stuff like that, really impressed me. So what sort of what did I do that would have impressed you? Like
Let's see. What are some of the things you do that are non kind of white collar journalistic?
So I have a good sense of I sort of did build the character to be a lot in that sort of white collar journalistic thing. I've got a pretty decent preparedness score. I'm apparently really good at shadowing people.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's something good. Is you followed some guy of the Kent companies to find out where he's going, to where the secret where some of the Kent holdings are. Like no one knew where a warehouse is. And maybe I watched you follow this guy, and I was pretty wow, for a journalist, this guy's pretty stealthy.
And I've got a really good disguise too, so it might have just been I'm practically able to walk into the door.
Actually, no, that's it. You did walk into the door. Oh, I'm with so and so. I'm his associate lawyer. Where do I go?
Right.
And that's how. I mean, do you have filter or anything too, or?
I've got a little bit of that.
Oh, perfect. Then maybe I was impressed with the fact that you could just walk in and say, "Oh, yeah, I'm so and so associate lawyer. Did he leave the files on the desk? Oh no, don't worry, I'll go get him."
Okay, so yeah, so
that impressed the heck out of me.
So yeah, so the fact that I can blend in when it comes to the white collar world, and you can save me when it comes to the not white collar world. What I love is that you can actually see the sun going down as the video is getting later and later in the evening. But it's much cooler out here than inside. So the last bit here, the card that I got is a solo card. It's an investigative card. In your ongoing investigations, you learned of a lead at place, but when you got there, all you discovered was a link to group. What was it, and what was your next move? So we've established that place. In my ongoing investigations, I learned from a lead at the alleys around Pike Place, like Post Alley. But when I got there, all I discovered was a link to the Stevedores Union. So sort of think about what is my ongoing investigation. I think is going to be maybe some more of this whole, since we've established it.
The Kent holdings?
Yeah, the Kent holdings is also going to go with the maybe blend the two, the Kent holdings and the fact that these strange occurrences happened on Kent property.
Sure.
I think it's just I'm investigating the Kents. And of course, which is, I think, further reason for me to be societally attacked, if you will. So when my ongoing investigation with the Kents, I learned of a lead, maybe an informant that was going to meet me there, or something like that. But all I found was a link to the Stevedores Union. I think maybe it's like to get like sort of like maybe gritty, to maybe add a little bit of danger to this, like regular danger as opposed to like mythos danger. There was like my just like bloody footprints, and clearly I learned later that I learned pretty quickly afterward that my informant, my CI, or whatever you'd call it, was murdered. And the best I have is some whispers that it was someone from the Stevedores Union who pulled the job. And so my next move is to is actually like, that's a really hard question, because like my next move, oh, I'll go look in the Stevedores Union, and I would be killed. So I think my next move is to find some like blackmail material or something that might be able to keep me alive.
Right.
So that like I can go poking my nose in the places it shouldn't belong, and if anybody does anything,
then the blackmail gets out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think my next move is to get dirty. So there we have sort of a backstory for these characters. We have a sense of like some sort of investigation that the GM could use to hook into the greater scheme. In fact, I mean, we could have also done that where the GM said, by the way, the investigations, the sort of things you're going to do, are going to go in this direction. So let me go ahead and sort of pre-fill out a bunch of stuff and sort of precede your minds with, push things toward this, in this investigation about this dead uncle or whatever. So that's, anyway, so that's backstory for Horror Game. And I hope you enjoyed watching this. We chatted for a bit afterward, and we realized that we had outlined a campaign for these three characters to exist in. The greater horror would involve Blanche Kent's father and all of those holdings that were sort of mysterious, and she would have to begrudgingly ally herself with two people that she knew weren't in league with whatever her father and her father's cohorts were doing. This could give Addison the story that would make his career, if at the cost of his faith in the reality of the world. And it would give a hook for a source of Hirsch's bad luck, as if it's not just a thing that happens, but over the time of the campaign, he learns more about whatever had happened in the past. Maybe it's a very classic amnesia plot or something like that. When we came up with that, it was just astounding the things that we were able to come up with after just spending half an hour around the table.